Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. Today I'm so excited to have another episode about Australia. We travel all the way up to the eastern tip to far North Queensland. I chat with Annette, owner of My Cairns Concierge. Trust me when I say this, far North Queensland is a must when visiting Australia. It is home to the Great Barrier Reef, which I know you've all heard of. It's pictured on every Australian ad you see, so it's great that we have Annette today to highlight to us why it's best visiting in the low season and how to avoid all those crowds. As well, we not only talk about the best destinations to visit in far North Queensland, but also the educational resources available to tourists about how you can contribute to protecting and sustaining these incredible natural wonders of the world. Hope you enjoy. Hi Annette, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. It's great to have you.
Hello, Kate. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Our listeners may hear that you do have a slight accent. So how did you end up living in Cairns and running your business, My Cairns Concierge?
Oh, it's a long story. I'm from France originally, but as soon as I turned 18, I wanted to learn English. So I left my little country village in France and I went to England. And I happened to live in an area called Earl's Court in London, where all the Australians must have lived there at some stage, because I had a lot of Australian friends and they kept telling me, oh, you should go to Australia, it's fantastic. So one day I said, why not? And I met the man that was going to be my husband later on. He was also French, and we just came to Australia. And it was quite a few years ago. So I've lived in Sydney, I've lived in Darwin, and now I've lived in Cairns for about 12 years. And it's just like living in paradise, really.
I love that it was a why not decision. All the best things come from, why not? Let's do it.
Exactly. I really believe that if you overthink things, they never happen.
I agree. So what I like to ask all my guests is, when you step out of your home in FNQ, what do you see, hear, and smell?
Okay, what do I see? Well, I see the blue skies. And I must say, I've never seen skies as blue as they are up here. It's just like, it just hits you. So I see the blue skies, I see the palm trees. Sorry, it's a bit cliche, but there's so many palm trees around here. And so I see the blue skies, the palm trees. I smell the humidity, the hot humidity, because we're getting towards our humid season. And you can actually smell it in the air after a while.
I know what you mean by that. It's so weird. I actually had a conversation with someone recently about smelling the sun, and it's so strange how you can smell weather. It is a thing that you smell. Yeah.
Yes. Or it's like that feeling when I go to Central Australia, I just feel on my skin, the air is so soft on my skin. It just makes a big difference. And I can hear the birds. There's so many birds here, like day or night. There are so many birds.
That sounds
and
glorious.
All sorts of noises. Yes.
I'm really excited to talk about FNQ, or known as TNQ. And for listeners that don't know, FNQ is Far North Queensland and TNQ is Tropical North Queensland, and we interchange between what we call them. So Annette, could you give us a quick overview of the FNQ region? Where technically does Far North Queensland start? What's the best way to get there? And what are the cities within FNQ?
Okay, so Far North Queensland is really an area starting from Townsville all the way north to Cape York. So we're talking about cities like Townsville and Cairns. Townsville is a busier city than Cairns. Townsville is really the administrative centre of Far North Queensland. But really, for the purpose of this podcast, we're talking about the area around Cairns. So an area starting in Cairns, going about 150 kilometers north to Port Douglas and further to Cape Tribulation, about 80 kilometers west to Kuranda and the Atherton Tablelands. And of course, this includes Cairns, the Cairns Northern Beaches, of which most people may know Pancove. So Cairns, Pancove, Port Douglas, the Daintree Rainforest, and Cape Tribulation, and west the Atherton Tablelands.
And is the most northern airport Cairns? Is that the easiest way to get up there?
Yes, that would be the easiest way. I mean, there's a small airport in Cooktown, but really, if you are coming from other states in Australia or from overseas, Cairns would be your airport. So we're about 2 hours from Brisbane by plane, 3 hours from Sydney, or 3.5 hours from Melbourne.
Yeah, definitely don't drive that if you're coming from Melbourne. People forget how big Australia is. If you're going to far North Queensland, highly recommend for you to fly up there unless you have a long, long time.
That's it, exactly. I mean, do it once if that's what you like, or if you're into road trips like I am.
Yeah.
But it's a long way.
So FNQ is the only place in the world where 2 natural world heritage sites meet, the reef and the rainforest. And I'm going to start off with the big one. The attraction that everyone thinks of when they think about Australia is the Great Barrier Reef. It is a giant of UNESCO World Heritage and has some of the most diverse and abundant coral reef in the world. And with climate change knocking at our door, we as Australians and as tourists that visit want to experience the reef, they need to make sure they do their part to respect and sustain the reef. So I want to ask you this question, Annette, in 2 parts. Firstly, how can visitors experience the reef if they want to go diving or snorkeling? Is it through a guide or is it DIY? And secondly, what resources are there for the tourists if they not only want to learn about the reef, but get involved if they want to help sustain it?
Yes, great question. So the first part of your question was, how can people experience the reef? Well, there's so many boats going to the reef. So it really depends on what experience you are after and also what you enjoy. But I think it's important too to take into account how comfortable are you in the water. Because if you are not comfortable snorkeling and having this equipment on, all this stuff on your face, the mask, the snorkel, it can be a bit daunting. So if that's the case, for example, I would suggest to go on a smaller boat where the staff really looks after you, make sure you are comfortable, or even take a boat that goes to an island or a sand cay, like the boats going to Michaelmas Cay, because then you can sort of practice snorkeling in the water. You are more comfortable, and then you can take it slowly and you just go into the water at your own rhythm, and the staff will always be there to help you. If you are into diving, there's a lot of fantastic diving boats, and you can even go and spend 1, 2, or 3 nights on the reef. There's liveaboard boats where you can spend a few nights on the reef. So really, there's a variety of boats. There's some really small ones, there's some really big ones. If you are a family, maybe it's better to go on a boat that visits a platform. Because some of the boats will take you, generally boats visit 2 or 3 sites on the reef because they only have a license to stop at certain places along the reef. So they will travel from 2 or 3 sites on the reef. Some have a platform. So that's great for families because you may not have everybody wanting to go into the water. And they also organize activities on the platform. But if you really feel comfortable in the water, you can just take a boat where you jump off straight into the water. So there's a great variety of boats. Do your research before you go and find a boat that really suits your purpose. And the great thing now with COVID, I must say, is a lot of the, because the boats have COVID-safe plans in place, they take a lot less people on board. So it even becomes viable for a small group of friends or a large family to charter your own boat. Like some vessels take 12 people. So, and then you really have an itinerary that totally suits you. And of course, you have staff that is dedicated solely to looking after you. So do your research before booking a boat.
Great.
And of course, you can go to the reef from Cairns or Port Douglas. So what you need to know is that the further south the reef goes, the further it gets away from the coast. So the reef is closer to the coast in Port Douglas and a little bit further from in Cairns, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Port Douglas, you will be to the outer reef within about an hour, whereas from Cairns, it's an hour and a half, depending on the vessels again and where they go.
Great. So not a major difference, but if you are factoring in time, that is good to know. And so,
Exactly.
Annette, on the other hand, what resources are there for tourists if they want to learn more and help sustain the reef?
There's plenty available, and I'm really excited that this has happened in the past few years, because I think the reef is such an amazing place to visit. And once you understand what you are seeing, it's even more exciting, because corals are not just plants, they're animals, they're living organisms. So once you understand what you see, it just takes a whole different meaning. So I would suggest the first thing you do is download an app called Eye on the Reef. It's an app that's been designed by the, I always get this one wrong, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. They are the people who manage the Great Barrier Reef. And download the app. And with this app, you can actually tell the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, you can tell them what you see every day. And this is fantastic, because everybody can contribute. You don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be a marine ranger. You can be a first-time visitor, you can be a fisher, you can be a tourist. You just send in what you've seen on that day. And this helps them collect data of what is around at the moment. And also, it helps them with information on the status of the reef health, what species are around at certain times, and also maybe give them warnings on early warnings on environmental impacts. So that's an app called Eye on the Reef.
What a fantastic, simple way to get involved in the sustainability. Just recording what you see. So simple towards research. The more people that do it, the better it protects the reef, looking at the degradation of it. I think that's a really fantastic resource and really accessible to people as well.
Exactly. And it really makes you feel part of the whole environment. And then there's a number of what are called citizen science projects. And again, this is allowing the public to participate in science projects, in research projects. And the big one at the moment, which has just been launched just recently by a group called Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef, is the reef census. So the reef census is really counting the fish, the species, the fish, the corals that people see when they are going snorkeling. And the organization has recruited more than 30 vessels who go out on the reef every day to survey up to 150 significant reefs from the top of Queensland all the way down to Lady Elliot Island. Because as you know, the reef extends in Australia for about 2,300 kilometers. So it's a very long ecosystem. And so for the next 10 weeks, snorkelers or even recreational divers can carry out these surveys, which what it involves is actually swimming along a reef and taking a photograph every 10 meters. And then you download your photograph to a site that you are being given, and this will help getting a better picture of what is happening at the moment.
And I mean, people are taking photographs when they're down snorkeling anyway. So it's just, I guess, really the process of going to upload them that, you know, is the only slight hassle of that experience. I think that's a really great idea. And again, very accessible for people.
Yes, exactly. So jump online, go to the Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef website, and you can become a citizen of the Great Barrier Reef yourself. And they have great programs in place.
Fantastic.
Programs that concern the Great Barrier Reef. For example, when you join, it's not just a matter of joining and that's it, or liking their social media. You undertake to take part in, at the moment they have 6 actions that you agree, well, you can select as many as you like, but for example, you can join the Great Barrier Reef census. You can decide to join the Hold a Straw campaign, which is a campaign to stop using plastic straws. Because these plastic straws very often end up in the oceans. Yeah. And unfortunately, marine animals mistake them for food, and they can get injured or they die from this. So it's actually a great project that was started by a young 14-year-old girl from Cairns called Straw No More. Yeah, Molly Steer. She's quite a well-known person in Cairns now. Mm-hmm. So avoid using plastic straws. And the great thing is a lot of the cafes and restaurants in Cairns are participating in this. That's so you great. Don't get any plastic straws anymore.
Oh, love young little entrepreneurs. I think that is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, all great resources. So Annette, on the other side, I want to talk about rainforests, the next Natural World Heritage Site. So correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a plethora of rainforests up in FNQ, and some of them house actually Australia's biggest waterfalls. And so not only do these rainforests offer up waterholes, spectacular scenery, some classic Australian iconic wildlife, but there's also artsy village like Kuranda tucked into the rainforest as well. So Annette, I want to ask you a similar question of a two-pronged question. What's the best way for people to experience and explore the rainforest? And as well, what do people need to know about the rainforest when they visit to help promote research and sustainability?
Okay, so first of all, I think one of the reasons why I like living in Cairns so much is because of the rainforest. Because it's it's a very different world. And the best way to experience this different world, in my opinion, is to take a tour. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many passionate naturalist tour guides that will explain things to you, like why is a leaf shaped that way? Or how old is this particular species? And again, by understanding what you see, you appreciate it better, and hopefully you want to protect it. So take a guided tour. There's some fantastic guided tours. You don't have to go into big buses and so on. There's a lot of smaller operators. And again, do your research. And there are some amazing operators with, as I said, with very passionate tour guides who will take you into areas of the rainforest that you would not even see if you just jumped into your car and drove there yourself.
You get that exclusive know-how of the rainforest. They know all the little incredible waterholes and waterfalls that you'd never find on your own. Exactly. I think taking a guide is the best way as well.
Yes, I think you should take a guide everywhere you go. And also they can explain things that you don't see, but with the rainforest, it's very often about what is living under the leaf litter, which all these little critters and little animals that help. Sorry, I can't think of the word now.
Just boost the ecosystem and continue the livelihood.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, yes, but you can't see them. But a guide will tell you about it and will make it come alive for you. So again, if you want to learn more about the rainforest, and if you want to participate in some actions, and I think this is the way holidays are going to go after COVID. I think people will take more time to travel.
Yeah.
And rather than rushing from A to B, take the time to be where you are and to learn more about the place you are visiting. So there's a great organization called Rainforest Rescue, which undertakes the necessary revegetation that is necessary to support the further growth of the rainforest, but also, and most importantly, to support the cassowary population. Because you may have heard of cassowaries. There's this really, if you haven't seen a cassowary, it's a really strange animal that exists only in far North Queensland and in Papua New Guinea. And it is estimated we only have about 1,000 birds left at the moment, because a lot of them get run over crossing the roads. So when you are traveling through the rainforest, you will see a lot of signs: slow down and watch out for cassowaries. And there are some volunteers that spend their time putting signs up: cassowary sighting here, slow down. So please don't drive too fast and just watch out for the cassowaries, because the cassowaries are very, very important in the propagation of rainforest seeds, because they have a very different digestive system to other birds. When they eat a seed, it goes straight through their digestive system and comes out. And when they're traveling over long distances, they just drop their seeds, and then the seeds germinate. And that's how the various species propagate. So we need to look after these cassowaries. And that's what Rainforest Rescue is. So you can help Rainforest Rescue by being a volunteer or by donations, or they have a great program with businesses. A business can decide to give X amount of their profit to Rainforest Rescue.
Fantastic.
And then we have a great little hospital called the Tolga Bat Hospital, because the bats, like the cassowaries, are also responsible for propagating the seeds. And they cover long distances every day. Unfortunately, bats they suffer from a bit of a public relation image.
A little bit at the moment, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, they suffer a lot from heat stress or from tick paralysis. So the hospital is looking after them, and when they're ready to be released, they release them back into the wild.
That's great. Another awesome initiative to protect our rainforests. So in far North Queensland, there is an island for everyone. And for those who didn't know, there's a huge amount of islands that come off the edge of Queensland. And whether you're an experienced diver or a novice snorkeler, or, flop and drop sunbaker to avid hiker, for those looking for luxury or, really want to rough it, there is an island for you. Could you just give us a little bit of an overview of some of the different islands and which ones you would suggest for different travellers?
Okay, so again, I'm going to concentrate on the islands around Cairns and north of Cairns. So the closest one to Cairns is Fitzroy Island. Fitzroy Island is only about 45 minutes by ferry. And it's really a great little island because there's a lot of things to do on the island itself. Obviously, you can go snorkeling. You can actually hire the equipment on site. You can do a glass bottom tour. There's a walking trail through the rainforest. You can go kayaking. You can do stand-up paddleboarding. And they have daily activities for the hotel guests because there's a hotel on site. But what I think everybody should go and see when they go to Fitzroy Island is they have a turtle rehabilitation center.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
Again, this is a group of volunteers and they rescue injured turtles. It's mainly green turtles. And but there's also hawksbill turtles and different types of turtles. So they look after them, they rehabilitate them, and then they release them when they are ready to be released. It's a fantastic organization. And again, so many organizations are run by volunteers. So if you go and visit by paying the entrance fee, you do help these organizations. Fitzroy Island is also great for snorkeling, of course. And then we have also Green Island, which also has a resort. Green Island is about, again, 45 minutes from Cairns. And there's a number of activities you can do there. Green Island has something called the Snubadoo Power Snorkeling. That's basically, it's a buoyancy vest and a scuba regulator mouthpiece that makes it easier to breathe than doing normal snorkeling. Or you have the Seawalker helmet diving. It's just a huge helmet that sits on your shoulders and you actually walk on the sea floor.
I've seen images of them and they look so cool. You look like an astronaut underwater. It looks like so much fun.
Exactly, yes. So that's different ways of seeing what is there under the water. And they have walking boardwalks as well. And then if you want to go a little bit more upmarket, of course, there's Lizard Island, which is a little bit further north. It's about 1 hour flight from Cairns. So Lizard Island is, as I said, an upmarket resort. But again, you will find the usual activities such as snorkeling, diving, fishing, kayaking. And then, I don't know if you've heard of Haggerston Island.
I haven't.
It's like Robinson Crusoe. It's a very small island, very exclusive island for up to 12 people maximum.
Wow.
And just getting there is an adventure in itself because it's a 2-hour private charter flight from Cairns, or you can catch a pre-organized flight with Qantas from Weipa, which is in Cape York. And the images look stunning. And then, of course, you have the islands of the Torres Strait, but that could even be a whole podcast in itself.
Absolutely.
Because there's about 274 small islands in the Torres Strait. And for the people who don't know the Torres Strait, it's the tip of Australia between Australia and Papua New Guinea. And the culture there is so different to mainland indigenous culture.
Annette, I feel like we could talk about FNQ all day, and I actually have so many more questions. You know, there's a whole bunch of adrenaline activities that you can do, but I'm really glad for this episode we were able to focus on, you know, some research and sustainability activities that people can get involved in as well in far North Queensland. So I want to say thank you very much and really looking forward to having you on the podcast on Thursday about Indigenous culture.
Thank you very much.
At time of recording this, Australian state borders were not opened. However, they are now, and I have officially booked my flight to Queensland next year. I am beyond excited. I'm coming for you, Annette. Thank you for listening. Annette joins us again on Thursday, where we talk about the importance of Indigenous culture in Australia and where to experience it in far North Queensland. As always, if you have any feedback or destinations you would like to hear about, message us on our social channels at Low Season Traveller. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family. Keep your travel dreams alive, and more now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.